welcome to the May 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Tupelo Planning Committee. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones. At this time, please rise for the invocation given by Gus Hildenbrand.
All right.
And the Pledge of Allegiance by Leslie Mark.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful day you've given us, another day of our lives. We are thankful for all the opportunities you give us, and we hope that you will be with us tonight and guide us so that we can do the things that are necessary for this committee. For we ask all this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Stand, face the flag, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may all be seated. The Tupelo Planning Committee is a volunteer group appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. We receive no compensation for this, as we do it as a community service. We spend a lot of time and our own funds studying and researching the applications and visiting the sites that are on our agenda each month. We ask that you remember that we do not take our positions on any application lightly. Our decisions are based on facts as they are presented and with regard to the regulations set in the development code. At this time, I will ask the staff and committee members to introduce themselves, starting with the staff, and please remember to speak into the microphone.
Tanner Newman, Director of Development Services.
Jenny Savely, City Planner.
Mark Williams.
Bentley Nolan.
Pam Hadley, Chair.
Lindsay Leak.
Leslie Mart.
Patty Thompson.
Gus Hildenbrand.
Scott Davis.
Russ Wilson, Zoning Administrator.
Thank you all. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the March 7th meeting?
You have?
I move we approve.
I second.
So we have a motion to approve by Scott Davis and a second by Leslie Mart.
Yes.
Are there any questions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, no, all opposed, no opposed, so majority unanimous vote, the motion carries. We also have approval of the March 21st meeting, that's the one with the cannabis. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
so I think we have Scott and Gus. I'm sorry, Mark and Gus. Are there any questions or corrections on that? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the number, raising your right hand. No opposes. Thank you all. Motion carries. There are no minutes for the April due to the applications, and therefore no meeting. So we are going to open our regular session. We're asking for a report on council actions from the March public sessions. There's any nothing? Okay. We're going to the old business, the Butler Park Phase 2. Anything from anything to report from that?
As part of approval of Butler Park Phase 2 site plan, the committee elected that MDEQ would need to review the levee on site. That has been reviewed, and the developer will make those changes before a certificate of occupancy is issued.
Thank you, Jenny. For new business, we have the Flex 2202 Dodge Store headquarters location. Grab that real quick. Okay, the existing building contains a convenience store with fuel sales and offices collectively located on 3 parcels of land. Is considered a non-conforming use in the zoning district due to not meeting current development standards in an area which is considered a gateway into the city. Do we have, basically it's requesting, it's on 447 East Main Street, requesting expansion, a change or a major repair of a non-conforming use. Jeannie, want to give us any additional background on that?
Yeah, sure. This is a location that is currently being used to house office space. However, an office with storage is not allowed by right. It's a non-conforming use. However, the developer is willing to make changes that would conform the space to requirements of our downtown area in order to make those improvements. And we as a department are making the recommendation that we approve those changes with the contingency of landscaping and parking that would meet commercial code requirements.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we will open the floor for public comments, and we'll ask is the applicant here? We'll ask you to come to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Nat Leathers, 447 East Main Street. Work with Savings Oil Dodge Stores.
And just tell us about what you're
Yeah,
wanting to do.
what we would like to do is to actually take down an existing kind of brick building that's adjacent to our property and then expand our office back behind our property, so it would actually open up the corner of, I don't know if you have it there, but it would actually open up the corner, I think that's Elizabeth maybe, and Main Street, and then landscape that area where that existing brick building is located, is what we requested permission to do.
Okay. So
And
just,
I think you've got the site, I've kind of provided a site plan and a building plan.
yes, okay. So again, like I said, we're opening the public comment part. Does anyone have any comments?
We ought to be able to ask questions if he didn't first, right?
Okay, go ahead. We'll have questions.
The gravel area, do you plan to pave the concrete there?
That was not our intention. Our primary plan was to landscape the area where the building would come down, I guess from the corner of our current building to that Elizabeth Street.
Are you agreeable to pave that gravel parking area in order to do the other things that you need to do?
Certainly something that we could consider. We've not gotten a proposal or a cost to do that. Obviously, it's doing this addition is not bringing any additional revenue, so everything we spend is just an additional cost. So that'd be something we just have to get a quote and decide whether or not that would be worth our investment to be able to do that along with the rest of the project. So I guess that would be determined if that was the only way that we could do it. We just have to determine whether we want to move forward with the project once we get those costs.
And your landscaping, it would be up to commercial code. Is that in your plan?
Yes.
Any additional questions from the committee? Do we have any questions from the floor? If you do, you may come to the podium and state your, thank you, Mr. Leathers.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing none, we will open it for discussion with committee.
So from my perspective, I'd like to see that property paved. I think that, I appreciate everything that they want to do on that property, and I think if we're willing to work with them, I'd like to see them working with us. So I'd like to see some conditions put on that we at least see that area paved, so we don't have that gravel out there in our gateway anymore.
I think we should just bring it to current compliance. New commercial would require paved service and landscaping. Since it's such a tearing an old building down, building a new one, that seems reasonable to me.
And I think that our requirement would really be just paving that and doing the landscaping that's required for commercial. And then they, of course, would tear the building down and do their new building to the standards that are required. I think that'd be great.
Any additional discussion?
I move that we approve the application with the condition that the parking lot is paved and landscaping is done in accordance to the current development standards.
I second. Go ahead, Bentley.
And the building is also constructed to meet the standard.
Yeah, it will be, that's, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve with conditions of paving the parking lot and proper landscaping. Are we ready for a motion? Ready for the vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Right hand. No opposes? Thank you. The motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have application number MSP 22-01. This is a major site plan development plan. The applicant is Flowerdale Commons, located on the east side of parcel 075V 22-001-00, west of Colonial Estates Road and south of McCullough Boulevard. This is a multifamily request for a multifamily development. I'm sorry. The special is a multifamily development require major site plan approval. This is a request for a major site plan for an apartment complex. Jim, actually, again, to just give us a brief, background on this.
Sure. This is a multifamily apartment unit located in our mixed-use employment area. This is an allowed use by right in that zone, meaning that the use itself is allowed without approval from a committee or the council. However, a major site plan, because of the largesse of the development, does require approval from the planning committee based on utilities, access, and its meeting of our standards according to size. The plan review team has reviewed the site plan and has made recommendations, which I believe the developer has let us know that they will comply with, and is asking for approval of that site plan. This is not approval of a construction plan. This is approval of the major site plan that will allow utilities to be ensured that they are appropriately, and parking and our pedestrian facilities, the building design, open space, setbacks, lighting, access and driveways, parking and landscaping have all been reviewed as part of the site plan analysis leading to this. There are a few items that the developer will need to amend as part of the site plan, but again, are willing to make those amendments to meet our standards.
Thank you. Is our applicant here today? If you will please come to the podium and state your name and your address and tell us about your application.
Yeah, I'm Kurt Shuttles with McCarty Architects. Jay Bryan is the actual applicant. He couldn't be here tonight. So I've got Blake with our company, and John White is the engineer. So we're the designers that are representing the owner.
And tell us a little bit about your the application.
About the design?
Yes.
So, yeah. Blake, you want to do that?
So our design is on Colonial Estates Road. We're looking at about 11.8 acres here. We are proposing 3 8-plex units, 3 6-plex units, and 1 4-plex ADA unit, along with a community building off the road. This would be a total of 46 units in total. I think we're looking at about 107 parking spaces for this. Civil, again, was by John White, so we did provide plans and elevations for these, tried to keep a good look to the Colonial Estates Road for this application.
Okay. Questions from the committee?
Could you tell us a little bit about your company, the company that's going to be doing this, and what the purpose of putting these apartments in?
I'm Britton Jones. I'm the owner and the developer and the contractor for this development. And the company that I'm with, it was really just myself, but we deal with different developments all over the southeast. We've done one here in Tupelo. It's called King Pines. It's off of Monument Drive. Y'all may be familiar with it. We built it about a year and a half ago. And we had great success with that, and so we decided we wanted to come back to Tupelo. And this is going to be similar, but it's going to be more of a townhouse style instead of single-family detached units, if you've seen that development. The front of the face on the street will be the front of the units with a parking in the rear, so it'll just look like, I'm from Oxford, not originally, I'm from Brandon, Mississippi originally, but I live in Oxford. I've got 3 of these developments I've done in Oxford. They're about a mile from my house. But it's more of a kind of Oxford style. Some of y'all have it in Tupelo as well, where the front faces and the parking's in the rear, so it just looks like a bunch of townhouses from the street view. And this is meant for working families. They'll be making, most of them make below $55,000 a year. And it's just the area we thought was good. One, because it was zoned properly for this.
We can't hear him. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You might need to put the mic down.
Is that better?
Yeah, okay.
So,
Is this better for y'all?
Yes.
Did y'all hear any of that? My name is Britton Jones, and I'm from Oxford currently. I'm from Brandon, Mississippi originally. It's where I grew up out the reservoir area. I went to Mississippi State for about 5.5 years. Did construction management, was in architecture school for about a year. Got my MBA there. Then I went and worked for a developer who, in his construction company, who did developments like this throughout Mississippi. Took a job in Oxford, Mississippi, probably about, I want to say like 13 years ago, working for another developer. Met my wife, got married, have 4 kids. Spent a lot of time in Tupelo because we're doing travel ball for a 9-year-old and an 8-year-old, so we're here probably every other weekend when we're not in Oxford or Senatobia. Anyway, this is a development that I'm proposing to do. I've done one previously here in Tupelo. It's called King Pines. That was about a year and a half ago. It's off Monument Drive. Ida Street is the other street that it's off of. And the city invited us to come do that probably 2 years ago. Well, we worked on it for many more years than that. But this development is going to be similar to that as far as it's in the same type program, but it is going to be townhouses instead of single-family detached houses. It's in multifamily, so originally we were going to do apartments. It's going to be 43 units total. They're 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units. But we decided to change the design to do more of a townhouse style look. So from Colonial Estates Drive, you'll see just a row of townhouses. All the parking will be in the rear. It'll have a community building. We picked the site, like I said, because it was zoned properly, and when we went out to the site, it's basically undeveloped land on every side of the development if you stand on the site, or a railroad track and commercial property to the north of us. So we're just kind of out in the field. And the look that we went for here, there's ones in Oxford that we kind of mimic this by. There's one called Fleur de Lis. There's probably like 4 different ones that all look like this. It's more of a Acadian style. And so you just try to pick something that would look nice. That's what the front of the buildings are going to look like. Like I said, all the parking will be in the rear. Each unit will be 2 stories. It's townhouse style, so you have bedrooms upstairs, living downstairs. There will not be anybody living on top of anybody. They'll just be side-by-side units.
This would strictly be for lease only, though. They'll never own it, right?
Never own it. This will be for...
Not like the ones on Monument Drive where they'll end up owning it.
Right. So that was for many years, it was called a lease purchase. It's kind of the name for it, but it's really just a rent.
Yeah.
and then in 15 years that you have first right of refusal to purchase the home. The funding for this comes through Mississippi Home Corporation, and this past year they did away with that. They used to prioritize that, and they just did away with it. So this will be rental for 15 years minimum, and then well, it'll be rental forever no matter what. It's not zoned to become. Well, we're not going to sell the condos.
Any more questions?
Have you done any studies on how this is going to be affecting Colonial Estates Drive?
We just had a market study for Tupelo as far as how it'll affect it. I mean, I think it'll, like I said, it's undeveloped land to the south and the east and the west, and the railroad tracks to the north. I think it'll improve the property values of that area. It'll be a very nice development. Like I said, we got 3 in Oxford, 2 about a mile from my house. Y'all could see them. I think most everywhere we go, it improves the value of all the surrounding area.
So to answer the question, there's not been a traffic analysis done yet?
No, if there's one required, we'll do a traffic analysis.
What would be your expected vacancy rate in these once it's up and mature?
Our average vacancy rate is probably, well, vacancy rate, I was thinking turnover. Vacancy is going to be 1%. They don't.
Okay, so
People make-
I think you said it's with 107 parking with 0% vacancy, right? Pretty much.
Right, 43 units, and so I think we typically try to have at least 2 parking spaces per unit.
And what about capacity for overflow parking? Because if it's that much, and then there's friends that come to there, have you thought about that?
I think that's why we went with that many parking spaces, because typically they have that 2 per unit, and so 43 units would be 86. And what did we say we have? 107.
Okay, and on your proposal there, what's the length of some of those buildings?
Don't know off the top of your head.
It's 152 on most of the buildings and 114 on some of the shorter ones.
So I think the city changed that to where the length of the building is 120 feet.
That's maximum.
As the max, and did that a while back. So have you contemplated that, to have to do a redesign and site plan change?
We have not, but if that's the regulation, now we're open to doing that.
Because that may obviously change your capacity, since the length of the buildings would shorten. It may change your capacity and what you could do on that footprint.
Yeah. What size units are these? 2, 3, 4 bedroom? I mean, they're all.
Half 2 bedroom, 2 bath, half 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Blake may know the square footage off the top of his head. I want to say around 1,200, 1,300 square feet. 1,400 square feet. They got a little larger because we did townhouses. So you got the, so 1,200 to 1,400 square feet.
And the ADA units, what size are those?
I think that we usually try to keep them the same. So they'll be 14, but they just won't have the stairwell, so it'll just be more open space, 1,400 square feet.
Those are 3 bedroom?
3 bedroom, yes.
Well, I must say that looking at on Monument Drive and Ida Street, you should figure 3 cars per unit, because that's what it is. And there's 3 cars, and you don't have enough parking budget for 3 cars per unit.
I would say Monument is all 3 bedroom, 2 bath houses. So this will be half 2 bedroom and half 3 bedroom, but we'll do what's required or what's recommended.
Are there any more questions from the committee? All right. Thank you all. So at this time, we'll open up the public portion. If anyone has any comments, we'll ask you that you come to the podium, state your name and your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak. and please address the committee.
I guess I'm gonna have to pull this down a little bit. I'm Mary Connor Adcock, and about 15 years ago, my brother Glenn McCullough and I purchased 30 acres right off Colonial Estates Road. Tupelo is really looking for affordable housing, and we have a development that we have half finished. We have 75 residents there, and I think a lot of them are here tonight, expressing concerns, number one, about the traffic on Colonial Estates and the fact that apartments won't really be in keeping with what is already there. Would any residents like to come up? I didn't know if y'all want to look at this. This was our plan that was approved by the city in 2007. And we've already invested well over 7 figures in infrastructure, and we are currently getting bids to finish this out. This would affect that.
I think most of us are familiar with that subdivision.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Linda Collins. I live at 2744 Prairie View Cove Circle. It's the new addition to Cottonwood Estates. We have two sections, and the homes sell very rapidly in these areas. They're in high demand. There are a lot of widows and single women who live out there. There are a few couples, but really it's made up more of single people who were looking for a safe place to live and security. And that's basically what has drawn most of us to that area. These homes are small. They're 1,200 up to maybe 1,600 square feet, but they are upscale. They're not inexpensive homes. We do have a lot of money invested in these houses. And the main reason, like I said, is because they have a feel-good quality to them, and they have character. Now, the problem here with putting an apartment complex that I understand is low income for low-income people, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. Except that there is a reputation that goes along with that. And we need to protect ourselves from property value going down because of anything that might happen on Colonial Estates Road. The road itself is rather narrow. I mean, I find that it's narrow for my SUV, and I have to drive rather slowly to maneuver around some of the sharp curves of that road and also the drop-offs on either side of the road. And if you add 107 parking spaces to an apartment complex, there are going to be a lot of drivers on that road, a lot more drivers on that road. And as one of my friends said, it's already a freeway. People drive way too fast. People who are very familiar with the road drive way too fast. And it's amazing that we haven't had some rear-ending problems, because on this road, it's not just our little subdivision. There's on up from us, which is leaving from between McCullough and West Jackson, you have several turns into Colonial Estates subdivision. And so the road was not built for a lot of traffic going fast. Now, I don't know, there can be complications when people do not own their property. And I wish that you would please take this into consideration, because our property value is really our security, as well as our, our safety as well. And so please consider.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Collins.
I'll make this short and sweet. I'm Lee Waldrop, 3598 Cotton Bowl Lane. I retired from Birmingham Social Security Administration about 10 years ago. I was looking for a nice place to live, and these were just available then, and they're very nice. And my wife and I moved there, and it's quiet. It's just a really nice place to live. Good neighbors, and I think this project is not good for the neighborhood. I think it will decrease, but I don't care what the fellow said. I think it will decrease the property values. If there's low income, in my experience, people do not take care of their lease homes. They run down quickly, and nobody's going to want to live there. The railroad track, I don't think, the railroad track's is right there. And it goes by like every hour or two, and it's tremendously loud right there. And I don't see why anybody would even want to live there, it's so loud. I think the property values would go down. I think that the increase in traffic, I agree with the lady right there. These people, there's not a lot of police presence there. These people go down the road, I mean, 65, looks like NASCAR or something. I'm serious, go down through there. I'm just really opposed to it, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
My name is Nancy Adams. I live at 3562 Cotton Bowl Lane. I bought my home there 12 years ago when it was a very brand new subdivision, and I bought it as my retirement home. I live alone, and I always felt secure and safe there, and I also am concerned about my property values. The traffic through there is already at mass in the mornings and in the evenings, especially during the rush hour. I'm concerned about the railroad tracks. I'm concerned about my property values and also the security and safety of all my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Wanda Allred. I live at 2693 Prairie View Circle. I retired from the state 2 years ago, and me and my husband were looking for a place to retire because he's originally from Tupelo. We felt this neighborhood was a good neighborhood. It felt secure. You also felt like you're kind of living out in the country because it's just your little neighborhood. And since we've moved there in 2 years, the value of the houses has gone up $30,000. And as the others said, I also agree that it might decrease our property values if you have an apartment complex down the road. There is also a daycare sitting right there behind the railroad track on that corner too. So there'd be an increased risk to these children and their families because they pull out of there also. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Randy O'Reilly at 2693 Prairie View Circle, and I agree with everyone else here. I don't possibly see how a low-income apartment complex is going to make my property value increase. Traffic's already crazy out there, and it's going to get crazy if you put another 150 people right there in the corner. And I just think crime could possibly increase, and it's going to look like a trash can through. There's going to be so much litter down the street there. And like someone else said, I've lived out there almost 2 years, and I think I've seen 2 police cars out there the whole time that I've been out there. So, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Joy Kilburn. I live at 2040 Springfield Drive. I retired here from Florida and was looking for a quiet neighborhood and a very nice neighborhood, and settled on Cottonwood Estates. And now I'm concerned about my safety and my retirement being, diminished because of the values decreasing. So I just hope you'll consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Julia Davidson. I'm here because of myself and my husband. We live on Prairie View Circle. He was diagnosed with a lung transplant, with a lung condition, and received a lung transplant 8 years ago. We decided to move from Saltillo to where we are now because of the fact he's in chronic rejection now and he doesn't have long to live. This is a neighborhood of women, primarily, widow women. If you go down Monument Drive, daily, nightly, whatever, they're walking up and down the streets, like this gentleman said here. There's cars parked everywhere. There's a railroad track, there's a daycare, there's a nursing home. This will devastate property values. I don't care what the gentleman said back there. This is a quiet neighborhood. Our neighbors are there for us. We're there for them. We don't need this many people moving in. It will be detrimental, and Tupelo will go way down on that end. Why not put it on Barnes Crossing Extended? You know, there's plenty of roads, empty lots there. Why punish us? I'm retired, my husband's retired. USDA, I mean, it's punishment. It's throwing a stone in their face.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ann Clement. I live on Bloom Boulevard, which is the newer part of Cottonwood. I just feel like it'll make our housing property go down. The traffic is horrendous because we have the banks that let out 5 o'clock. You can't get out if you want to. You have to wait till 6 o'clock if you want to go anywhere. So I'm just concerned about the way that, you know, the upkeep in our property, and I'm a widow, and I love it there. It's quiet. You like you're out in the country, and the neighbors are good. So I just think we need to consider where it's going. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael Chittister, 3594 Cotton Bowl Lane. I've lived there for 13 years. I never dreamed that affordable housing would be built within a few feet from my home. I've worked really hard to move into a nice neighborhood, and I totally disagree with this increasing the value of my home. Have equity in it now, and really like where it is. There's so much I could say, but keep it short and sweet. I really oppose of this type of housing going and where it's going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Moore, I live on 3508 Cotton Bowl Lane. I'm a new resident to the community. I'm just here today to oppose on it. The main reason we just had moved back into the state after moving away for a while and doing research and looking around for the community and the neighborhoods. We just felt that it was just a good place for us to continue our new home living at. So I'm just here today to oppose against that.
Thank you.
Tommy Green, I live at 2092 Springfield. Obviously, I'm one of the few single men that live over there. I'm going to check it out a little more. I moved there, I've been there less than a year. Had this development been built, I would not even have looked at buying the house that I bought. I think it will bring down our property values. I think it will decrease our safety. I think the traffic flow will greatly increase, and so I oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Kahn. I live at 2686 Prairie View Circle. I just want to echo what my neighbors have said. I've lived there almost 2 years, and I feel that that part of Tupelo with the road, the way it is not suited for a development of this size. I also feel like it will negatively affect our property values, and therefore I'm opposed to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kaden Garriga. My wife and I moved up here about a year ago, so new to the Tupelo area. But one of the reasons we looked at this area was a lot of folks that we were going to be working with recommended it as a safe neighborhood. We have lots of kids. I live in the neighborhood up from one these folks are talking about. I live in the Woodland Heights area. They're talking about traffic, and I have to drive around that sharp curve every day. I drive a V8 pickup truck, and I get ran off that road all the time. So I would definitely be concerned with traffic, especially with the amount of kids that we have playing in our neighborhoods. Me and my wife looking to start a family in the next year. That was one of the reasons we wanted to look in this area. with this development coming up, that definitely changes our thought process a little bit about maybe where we want to go and if we want to stay there. So definitely one of the reasons I'm here to oppose that project, just thought concerns probably.
Thank you.
My name is Stan Caldwell. I live at 3544 Cotton Bowl Lane. I moved here in 1984. Izzy and I had the privilege of going to the old Tupelo High School, which was right by Ida Street, Lawndale, that whole area. So we saw the decline, living here all over the years. We saw the decline of that area. This is not going to be any different. I agree with affordable housing. I agree that we have to do that, but this is not the location for it. As everybody said, the traffic on that road is terrible. You're going to have these places that are very close to that road. Kids are going to be in danger. I'm a 33-year military veteran. I'm still serving. And I was always told, don't come griping about a problem if you don't have a solution. So I would say that if the city wants to do something good for the people in the city, then why not the old Natchez Trace Inn area? It's right across the street from a elementary school. It's right across the street from Ballard Park. It's all the soccer fields. It's access to everything. The city could put a bridgeway over Main Street for easy access and safe access. That place has been an eyesore forever. Once they tore down the old Trace Inn, then it's just a slab out there now. There's nothing there. So, I would make that as a suggestion. But I agree with Tommy. If I moved there in August, and if I would have known that this was coming in, or if it was in place, I would not have moved there. I would not have bought in that area, because I know what the future holds. All right. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Phillips. I live at 2012 Springfield Drive. I just wanted to reiterate what some of my neighbors have said about the safety of the area. I am a single female living there, and I've lived there for about 3 years. I did come from the Memphis area, so safety was something that was really important to me. And I've never really felt unsafe in the area. It's very quiet, like they said. We do have a lot of kiddos playing, and it's somewhere where I, pictured myself starting my own family. And with the addition of this, it would make me a little more hesitant to do that. I work at the hospital, and being able to come home to a safe place after long hours is really important. And so I just wanted to say how much I oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lisa Russell. I live at 3580 Cotton Bowl Lane. I oppose this. I do think the traffic is a problem. I've been there 10 years. I hope that I can continue to stay there another 20 years. We keep our property up. It's a nice neighborhood. It's mowed. It's just a safe place to live, and I oppose this.
Thank you.
My name is T.R. Darcy. I live at 2747 Prairie Circle. My wife and I are new to Tupelo, been here just about a year, moved here in anticipation of retirement, and certainly for that opportunity. I have been encouraged at the contemplative work that Tupelo leadership does, and I know this committee is just like that. And I appreciate you hearing our voices of concern. I know that this is unknown. I know that our friends that do this work do a lot of thinking, but I have to believe, as unfamiliar as I still am with Tupelo, that there would not be even better places for this, where it does bring potential problems to both property value and security. I echo my neighbors. They are great people, and it is a wonderful place to be, very stable and a desired place to live, both for young families and those that are looking forward to retirement and those that are showing us the way to retirement already. So I would also add, although this is not necessarily related, to me it is, our covenant does not allow any rental of our property at all. We can't sublet it in any way. We can't allow it to go back. And that that is by design to keep our property values as stable as possible. I know rental property is needed, but I just have to echo the fact that I think that there are better places that this could be without the potential problems that would come to our area. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Sharon Cresswell. I moved here from Oklahoma in November, and my son is active military here, and they looked for me, and this was the perfect place. I love my neighbors, and I feel safe, and this is very disturbing to me. So I hope you guys think that if it was your grandmother or your mother going to live there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donnie Elkin. I live at 4146 South Bloom Boulevard, and I'm also a single gentleman in this neighborhood, so I'm glad to know the competition here. I mean, look at all these beautiful ladies we have sitting here. I mean, they need somebody to take care of them, and I hope I can do that for y'all. I'm a retired police officer from Columbus, so I've seen it all. I worked there for 30 years. Let me tell you, I've seen these kind of apartments be built in Columbus, and I was there Saturday. I worked Saturday for Columbus because their supervisors had a training, so the chief had me come in and run a shift for him. I've been there all my life. I rode around Columbus, shook my head. I cannot believe the state of some of these places that have been built. It was tough for me to see. I mean, I love Columbus. I love Tupelo. But if you let this come back in about 10 years, and let's look again, and you're going to be shaking your head for allowing something like this to be built in this great neighborhood. I mean, I know Tupelo's like everyone else. Their police is stretched thin. And like I said, I've lived there a little over 2 years, and I haven't seen a single police officer come down my street. But we don't need them. We have no crime. So that's why I don't worry about it. If this gets built, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of them. And as thin, stretched out thin as the police department is, it's just going to make them have to cover that much more area, taking resources away from the rest of the town. And I'm not going to repeat everything everyone else has said. I just hope y'all take all that into consideration, and I'm surely against this development.
Excuse me, would you state your name one more time? I missed it.
Donnie Elkin, E-L-K-I-N.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Linda Garner. I live on South Bloom Boulevard. I've been there almost 5 years, and I have never felt safer in an area. I can leave my house unlocked to do my walk around the neighborhood and not feel like someone's going to enter my home, that someone's not watching me to see when I leave. I am very concerned about safety, the traffic, and property value. And I won't repeat what everyone else has said. I feel the same way. And I oppose the building of these apartments. It's not the right place for them. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. Yep. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Tom Wicker. I represent Town Creek Master Water Management District. We have the hidden infrastructure. Everybody talks about roads and bridges. Nobody talks about dams. There is a dam located downstream from here, and we're not objecting. The district doesn't object, but we have voiced our concern, and I'm sure we can work with the developer to address some of the concerns. Maybe some of them can't be addressed. I don't know yet. In 2019, y'all were probably aware that Enville Road, Butler Road, the road that goes in front of Home Depot, B&A Bank, part of that was underwater. Enville and Butler were underwater. The reason they were underwater is because of, and I understand paving in the gateway area, it would be something that you're going to do, but you have to consider, as you increase paving, you increase stormwater runoff. And that's what's happening with those roads. So in 2019, the Colonial Estates Road came very close to being underwater. So there's two concerns. That is what we call a dry structure dam that's located, it parallels McCullough Boulevard. It's about 1.5 miles long, the dam is. When it rains, like this afternoon when we had almost an inch of rainfall in less than an hour, the water backs up. If it didn't, so you've got two concerns. The downstream concern, because that's Kings Creek that runs there. The downstream concern is that you would not have a Gloucester Creek Village. You would not have Journal Enterprises or the Daily Journal. You would not have Cooper Tire located where it is if it weren't for the fact that in the late 1960s, this dam was built. If that dam's integrity is threatened because it's overtopped, which can happen if the riser, that is the concrete spillway that goes under the dam, if that's blocked because of trash, then the dam can be overtopped. If the dam is overtopped, then it can fail. And I think I actually have given the committee the inundation map if that were to happen. And then the other concern is again, the upstream concern, and that is with the increased pavement, you can have water back up over the road. Again, those things can be addressed, and we're working with the developer to see what sort of stormwater runoff mitigation plan they've developed to look at the elevation, the base elevation of the parking areas. But we did want to at least let you know about that concern.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wicker.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm William McCullough Jr., and my sister Mary Connor and I approached the city, as she said 15 years ago. At one point, I don't think has been made. Before I make that point, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for serving on the planning committee. It's extremely important. The work you do is extremely important in ensuring that the city of Tupelo continues to grow and develop in a really thoughtful, in a very careful, methodical way. And so the first point I want to make is to say thank you for your service. But the second is the ladies and gentlemen you've heard from tonight, that's what we want in the city of Tupelo. That's what we've been talking about. And it's no accident that they have created a wonderful neighborhood in Cottonwood Estates. That does not happen by accident. And 15 years ago, the city of Tupelo, the first and only time in this history, the city's rich history, adopted a planned unit development, a PUD. Now, I don't know how many people realize that Cottonwood Estates is the only PUD in the city of Tupelo. And that makes it different in a positive way. And so the comments that you've heard tonight, and I believe there may be some people in the audience who didn't come up, and are there anybody that's interested in this issue right now? Raise your hand. Okay.
And we do have a petition for people that could not be here tonight, that they sign and put their cell phone number.
Okay, so is it of those who raise their hand, and I know many of you offered comments, and the committee I'm sure will consider those. So is there anyone in favor of the development? Raise your hand. Well, Mr. Jones, let me say, I met with Mr. Jones and his team, and we don't oppose affordable housing. In fact, we're all about affordable quality housing. We believe that there probably is a location in the city of Tupelo that'll work for what he's proposing. It's just not Colonial Estates Road. It's the wrong location. So the final point is, I would ask you to, when you go home tonight, having been on a planning committee appointed by Mayor Jimmy Caldwell, my first task, and having had some experience in development with the Appalachian Regional Commission, with the City of Tupelo, with the Tennessee Valley Authority, and most recently with Mississippi Development Authority. Any development, the reason you do it is to increase property values. That's why you do it, and quality of life. That's what development's all about. And that's what you've heard tonight. And I think there could be a location within the city limits of Tupelo where what Mr. Jones is proposing might increase the property values and increase the quality of life, but it's not on Colonial Estates Road. And so I would implore you to carefully consider this issue because it affects the lives of many people. And we want Tupelo to be the very best it can be. We want it to be an all-American city again. We set records in this city because we pull together. And I want to thank you, and I want to ask that you prayerfully consider this issue. And I have confidence that the right decision will be made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I request,
I was
Mary
gonna
said
ask
that
that.
about the petition.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Can you just hand the petition to,
I don't have, I failed to make a copy, but if, I'll give it. This is the only copy. So should I give this to?
I'll take it and we'll pass it down and we'll,
Okay, and then
we'll
you
make
can
sure we get a
email it to
copy.
me tomorrow.
thank you.
Have all of us on it.
No, it's the people that could not come tonight.
And Mr. Jones, at this time, if you would like to have any comments to follow this, or the yes, or anyone on your team?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
You
Yeah,
don't have
I'm just
to.
allowing you to.
Well, I would just say, understand, not to pull this to when we met, I know there are different fears you have in your head when you hear about affordable housing and maybe stuff you've lived in your life. The developments that I've done, this is 43 units. I have one in Oxford, it's 46, and then built another 46 right next to it. They're less than a mile from my house. You can come and see them. You can see how they're kept up. You can see the people living there. I went through the other day, and there's barely anybody during the day because there are kids that go to school. It's very quiet. I did see two ladies walking through the neighborhood just because we have sidewalks. They're walking through the neighborhood, and recognized one and said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "What are you doing here?" Well, I was like, "Well, I built this. I own it." She said, "Well, I live here." Well, it's the first time I've seen her outside of church. She goes to my church. So anyway, I was going to say, in Oxford, you can come see it. It's on Slack Road. It's about a mile from my house. You can see the development, how it's maintained, the people that live there. Somebody mentioned, what happens in 10 years from now. Our oldest development is 10 years old. It's in Holly Springs. So you can actually come see it, see what it looks like. You can meet the people that live there. Anyway, I didn't mean to say anything else I wasn't supposed to, but.
I have one question for him. Have you looked at any other properties here in Tupelo besides this one?
We looked at all of Tupelo, but these were this and one on the other side of town where we're building are the two that were fit what we needed to do, and we're zoning property for this, and we had a realtor that helped us find these. So, but we've looked, yes, throughout Tupelo.
Sir, are the ones in Oxford the same, they're the same as these, the same income level, the same, everything's the same?
Yes.
Okay.
But they're
Now-
townhouses too, yes, sir.
All right. Are they any students that live in those?
Not that I'm aware of. It's not meant for students. You'd have to be, no, I don't think there are any students that live there.
There are a lot of students that have that low income level too.
Yeah, but that would be good, and then especially for Oxford, but that's not what this is allowed to do.
I have a question. Is this,
I'm
sorry,
we can't allow the public. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me the mic.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones. Okay, this ends the public portion, and we will now have discussion. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I would like to know if this is private funding or if it's government funded, this project? I mean, where's the money coming from to build it?
You want to address that?
Yeah, I will. There's a couple of things I want to say. First, if you don't mind, let me say this. I want to say thank you all for being here tonight and for choosing to be involved in the process and for sharing your concerns. I've heard from quite a few of you the last 24 hours, and I've tried to be responsive to that and be informative and just share kind of the facts of where we are and I believe kind of where we're headed. I also want you to know that your Councilman Mims, has been very active and very involved and vocal in sharing the concerns that he's received. So I want you to know that, one, your voice is heard, and thank you for being willing to be heard. My understanding is that this program or that this development is funded through the Mississippi Home Corps, which would be funding through the state or possibly federal government. But what I want to make very clear is that this is not a City of Tupelo funded project or a City of Tupelo endorsed project. The City of Tupelo does not have the, I guess, authority. The planning committee here tonight, which I have to say I don't have a vote on this committee, nor does Ms. Savely or Mr. Wilson. The planning committee here, they have the vote, and the vote that's before them is not whether or not to, it's not whether an apartment complex can be built in this location. It is zoned as a use by right. The question before the committee tonight is whether the site plans that the developer has submitted, whether those site plans fit the criteria laid out in the development code. So I just wanted to kind of make a couple of those clarifications just so everyone, has the same information. That this is not a City of Tupelo funded project. It's not a City of Tupelo endorsed project. This is private property and a private developer has orchestrated this, and I would defer to the developer to answer specifically as far as where those funds are coming from. So I would offer Mr. Britton the opportunity to speak on that if he would like, if the chairwoman is okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to address that, that's fine.
Yeah, so the funding comes from private investors. This privately owned, privately managed, the investment is private. There's a federal program called the tax credit program, and each state gets tax credits, like you would if you got an electric car, you may get a tax credit to incentivize you to do that, or if you got a solar panel put on your house. This is to incentivize private investment into affordable housing. And so we bring in those private investors to fund this. It'd probably be about an $8 million development. But in order to have affordable rents, the property can only handle a mortgage of about $1.5 million. So you have to make up that difference in order to do what they want you to do, which is build affordable housing with affordable rents for families that need it. And so you come up with that money by getting private investors to invest in it, and then they get a tax benefit for doing that. So the funds are primarily probably from banks that invest to get the tax benefit, but some corporations. So there's no public money. And I would say, well, I was going to try to get back to Oxford. My son my 4-year-old had a first T-ball game, but I missed it. But since I'm already missing that, I will be here tonight after this meeting. I will tell you anything you want to know. If you want to ask me any questions about this with everybody here, I don't mind staying. As late as y'all want to stay to kind of learn about it, I don't mind telling you about it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. At this time, we will close the public portion and open it up to the committee for discussion.
All right, so my understanding is that this site plan does not meet the requirements. The buildings are over 120 feet, at least some of them are. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So we're
That's
trying to
currently
approve a plan
proposed.
that doesn't meet the city's requirements.
And there is no traffic report that has been associated.
To me, with all the complaints about traffic on the road, there's got to be a traffic study done.
I agree.
Yeah, Scott, I agree with that. And while I don't live there, that street has become a major thoroughfare. I think all of us have been down it.
It's basically a paved farm road, but it's a thoroughfare now.
Yeah, and I'm with one of those banks around the corner that have staff there, so I have a great appreciation for that. So, from my point of view, without an adequate traffic study to really understand the impact, and then with the project itself doesn't comply with the code, I would have to see and get an understanding from the developer when they go in and redo the footing to 120 feet. Does the project have capacity? What additional tenant requirement would that put on it, if any? Would it take away? So there's too much unknown for me at this time. So I might suggest that the developer just go ahead and have this tabled for tonight.
I'd also like to add the water management. We need to get them to sign off as well.
The flood type issues has been an impact that we've discussed in our meeting.
So can I make a motion that we table this pending? It looks like we've got 3 items that we would need. So we would table this pending the traffic investigation assessment, redesigned based on meeting the criteria for building length, and the MDEQ water management plan.
Second.
Okay. Okay. So we have a motion to table this pending the TIA and the water management and the third thing that you stated.
The redesign.
Yes,
The redesign
the
based on the building meeting the criteria.
Okay. Are there any questions? All in favor, raise your hand. No opposes? Motion carries. So this is tabled pending those items.
And Jenny, how long does the developer have to come back?
90 days.
90 days.
90 days.
Could you let the people know what the next step will be and when they could hear something about it?
Once these requirements have been met, we will have to meet again for site plan approval. So a similar process will take place with a public hearing.
I'm not sure how long it will take to go through that
That's right. We don't have a
process,
time on
but as far
that.
as notification, we should send notices out 10 days prior or 7 days prior to that so that you receive notification again.
We didn't get a notification. I think it came from your Connor.
If you, and I'll speak on that, if the only mechanism in receiving a notification is if your property line is within 500 feet of each other. That's what's codified. And so if you do live within 500 feet of the property line of the development, you would naturally receive that notification. But I feel fairly certain that it will be known when this hearing will take place. But I will note that the developer does have 90 days from today to submit their modified plans for consideration. And once we receive those modified plans, proper notice will go out.
And and there's no telling how long it takes for the traffic study. It'll have to be done by consulting engineering firm on that, I presume.
It will, and I would just encourage the developer to get with the department, and we'll make sure that all of those guidelines are provided as to the requirements of a traffic analysis, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Next item?
Next item is the FlexVar 22-02. This application has been withdrawn. And the last item is the TA 22-02. Wow. Proposed text amendment to the development code.
Here, hold on just a minute.
Okay.
Excuse me, we're still in our meeting.
Yes, we are still in session. If you will
Please
leave
hold it
quietly,
down.
please. Okay.
Sorry, Devin.
So the last thing on our agenda is the TA 22-02, the proposed text amendments to the Development Code. And
Yes, and I'm asking the committee to approve tabling those.
So moved.
Second.
okay.
Lovely.
All in favor?
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. No opposes. And so with that,
Are we missing something? Because I have.
Yours is different than this one.
Number 3. Do we have
Oh, that one is withdrawn.
Here they go.
okay, yes. So the next session is
Right here, withdrawn.
the work session for June, which is Tuesday, May 31st at 5:15. Because of the Memorial Day holiday being on Monday, and their next June public meeting will be June 6th at 6 o'clock PM. Do we currently have any applications?
Yes, we will have, well, we have some that will be ready by then,
Okay,
yes.
okay, very good. Well, with that, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So when is our work
Oh,
session?
sorry. Work session is Tuesday, May 31st.
What happened to the Will Troxler major subdivision, 6 lots?
He's elected to change his plan, is gonna do a minor subdivision that will not need approval.
So where is that?
I think that was from a previous email.
Must be
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
It's not on this one.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Thank you all.
Here's that sheet.
Everybody?
Who needs this?
Okay.
Russ, you need this?
What is that?
Thank you all.
We're done.